Okay, so the fifth episode of The Book of Boba Fett has been released on Disney Plus, and yeah, it feels kind of weird to call it that, but in any case, I am now going to talk about it with spoilers, so that is a big spoiler warning. If you have not watched this fifth episode of The Book of Boba Fett yet, you should steer clear of this video unless you don't care. You know the drill, so you have been warned. And okay, yeah, this was not The Book of Boba Fett, really. It's funny, during this whole episode, I was watching it last night, and I was like, did they release the wrong episode? It turns out they didn't, but you can't blame me for thinking that, can you? Cause really, this was not the Book of Boba Fett. This was The Mandalorian Season 2.5. Cause this episode, Boba Fett is not even in this entire episode. The title character of this entire show, the main focal point, is not even in this episode. Instead, we have the return of Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Now, granted, it was nice to see him again, oh yeah, for sure. And I like knowing what he's been up to since the finale of The Mandalorian Season 2. But I wasn't expecting to see that until, Mandalorian Season 3 premieres. So to have him show up in this show, The Book of Boba Fett, it felt kind of odd to me, I'm not gonna lie. It's almost like they were like, okay, people aren't really loving The Book of Boba Fett, but The Mandalorian, people love that, so let's bring him into this one because we need more people to watch this and be on board with it. It's like they don't have faith in Boba Fett to carry his own show after they gave him his own show. I don't know. The whole thing just feels really strange to me. Again, I like seeing our dear old Din and seeing what he's been up to, but to take a whole episode away from Boba Fett? I don't know. I guess the master plan is all up to Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Kathleen Kennedy. Hopefully it'll all work out by the end. Here's hoping. But anyway, let's dive into this episode finally, huh? So yeah, this episode is all about Din Djarin and what he's been up to since The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. We see that he has the Darksaber, so alright. I guess that whole conflict with Bo-Katan has been resolved somehow. I guess Bo-Katan just let him go. Maybe she did fight him for it, and maybe she lost. Who knows? Maybe we'll see that in the premiere of The Mandalorian Season 3. And so when he goes to the armorer on this Halo ring, because that's totally what it is, it's Elysium. But alright, quite a few things happen here. First of all, we learn that Moff Gideon has been sent off to the New Republic for interrogation, and maybe he's even been executed. If I had to guess, he'll probably find a way to get out of that situation, and we'll probably see him again.
But I'm just guessing.
Secondly, Din Djarin turns in that Beskar spear, because the armorer's like, yeah, Beskar is not supposed to be used to make weapons, it's supposed to be used to make armor. So Din is like, okay. Although actually, can you make it into something specific for my buddy Grogu? And so we see her make it into this little thing. I'm guessing it's that silver ball that Grogu was obsessed with in the ship, which, man, that's very sweet. I'm not gonna lie, that got to me. I was like, god damn it. Give Grogu his ball, I love that. Thirdly, we see Din Djarin training with the Darksaber. I like this scene because, first of all, it reminds me of the scene in Star Wars Rebels where Sabine was training with the Darksaber with Kanan Jarrus, which, that's always good vibes. I like the fact that Din is actually growing attached to this weapon, cause I like seeing him with the Darksaber. I think that's a really cool combo. Din Djarin, who's a great relatable character with such an awesome weapon, I like it. And so, fourthly, this other Mandalorian, Paz Vizsla, of House Vizsla, we've heard of them since Clone Wars. He's like, yeah, that weapon was forged by my ancestors, it should be my right, so I'm gonna fight you for it. And Din Djarin's like, okay. The cool thing about Din Djarin is that he's not this OP badass who we know is going to win every fight, like Fennec Shand. Whenever he does win a fight, it always feels like he earns it. The choreography is really good in that case. And it's because he takes a lot of hits. He's been shot up so many times throughout his entire screen time in his show than I think any other Star Wars character has been shot up ever. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, if it weren't for that Beskar armor of his, he would be dead quite a few times over. Yeah, that badass Beskar armor, I've always thought it looks really cool. And so Din Djarin wins the fight against Paz Vizsla, and he gets to keep the Darksaber. So alright, all is well and good, but then fifth and finally in this scene, the armorer asks, hey Paz Vizsla, have you ever taken off your helmet? No, you haven't? Alright, then you are Mandalorian. This is the way. Din Djarin, have you ever taken off your helmet? Yeah. He has. Oops. Then you are Mandalorian no more. Oh. Well, shit. But honestly speaking, if these three are all that is left of the Watch, that whole section of the Mandalorian Creed, then who are they to say if he is Mandalorian or not? What authority do they really have? If you ask me, probably not much, which is why when the Mandalorian goes to that commercial flight and talks to that droid, when the droid asks him to remove his weapons, he still says, I'm a Mandalorian, weapons are part of my religion. He still calls himself a Mandalorian because who cares what these old guys say? I can call myself whatever the fuck I want. Or at least that's how I see it. And so yeah, now that Din Djarin has no ship of his own, we remember he lost the Razor Crest in Mandalorian Season 2, it got blown up. He books a commercial flight and he goes to Tatooine of all places. There is a reason why though, it's not just happen chance. Cause he goes to visit Pelimoto, we all remember her. That one character who reminds me of Rhea Perlman, I swear to God, she totally reminds me of Carla Tortelli. And she's like, yeah, I got a replacement ship for ya. And I'll tell you what, I recognized this ship the second I laid eyes on it. I was like, holy shit, that is a Naboo starfighter from the prequels. I wonder why, of all ships they could have brought back to live action, why did they go with the Naboo starfighter from the prequels? They could have gone with like an A-Wing or something, you know? Or at least one of those starfighters from Revenge of the Sith. I'm not sure what they're called, but that one? Cause seeing a Naboo starfighter, all it does is remind me how bad Phantom Menace is. Although I'll admit, the fact that they soup it up and they get rid of all the yellow, it does help. So now it's not as flashy, it's all silver, kind of like the Razor Crest was. And it looks cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it does. At least in my opinion, it does. And so Din Djarin takes it out for a spin, it's going really fast. I was like, oh, it's like the pod race scene. He's taking it through Beggar's Canyon and yeah. And then he takes it up to space cause he's like,
alright, let's see what this thing can do.
And he gets caught by the New Republic, which I'm not gonna lie, seeing these X-Wings against the backdrop of Tatooine, that was such a cool shot. This was actually a rare feeling where I was like, this does feel like a shot right out of the original trilogy. I'm just saying, those X-Wings looked so good. But these New Republic officers, it looks like they're going to arrest him for flying too close to that commercial flight, although that scene, choreography-wise, was really cool. But then that one who we remember from The Mandalorian is like, your voice sounds familiar. You helped us out before. So alright, we'll let you go with a slap on the wrist, which kind of makes me wonder what was the whole point of bringing them in the first place. Like, why did this even happen? I don't know. So when Din Djarin gets back, this is when we finally have our tie-in to our story of the Book of Boba Fett. Cause Pelimoto's like, hey, a friend of yours stopped by. Yeah, guess who? It's Fennec Shand. Which, alright, how did she know he was gonna be there? Seriously, how? I want to know the answer to that question. Don't just leave us hanging like, oh, she just knew. Alright, let's move on with the story. No, tell me, explain it to me. It might be trivial, but it's a big logic hole. Just saying. And so she's like, alright, can you help us out? We need muscle. Cause you know, the whole we're going to war with the Pikes thing, you know, the story of the Book of Boba Fett. So, hey, Mando, can you help us out? And Din Djarin is like, okay, but first, I gotta pay a visit to a little friend. Which has me thinking, okay, are we gonna go visit Grogu in the next episode or something? I don't know. Who knows at this point? I do wish we would save the Mandalorian stuff for the Mandalorian show. Don't let it take up too much of the Book of Boba Fett, because the Book of Boba Fett is supposed to be about the Book of Boba Fett and Boba Fett. Don't turn this show into something else. That's just weird. In the end, this 5th episode of the Book of Boba Fett, again, I like seeing Din Djarin, and I like seeing what he's been up to since the Mando Season 2 finale. But why did they take a whole episode to show us that? Like Boba Fett showing up in Mando Season 2. We didn't have a whole episode just about him. He just showed up, and it was cool. They could have done that again here with Din Djarin. I think that would have been fine. Maybe that would have shortened this show to just 6 episodes, but that would have been fine too. That was fine for plenty of Marvel shows. I don't know. I don't know what the logic is here. So I like this episode as an episode of The Mandalorian Season 2.5, but as an episode of The Book of Boba Fett, just strange. But again, that's just my opinion. So, the 5th episode of the Book of Mando, titled Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. Have you watched it yet? What do you think about it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now, if you'll excuse me, the next episode of Peacemaker premieres in just a few hours, so I'm gonna edit this video and then get to that. Peace!